Good afternoon, or good morning, and welcome to the first quarter edition of the United Methodist Personal Investment Plan Quarterly Series. My name is Frank O'Brien. I'm a senior benefits educator here at Wespath, and joining me today is Cheryl Hatcher, another benefit educator. Hello, Cheryl.
Hi, Frank. How you doing?
I am doing very well. It is absolutely our pleasure to be with you today. As you can see on the screen, our theme for this year, Saving for Your Future Self. The United Methodist Personal Investment Plan, or Personal Investment Plan, is just that. It is a voluntary retirement plan for you to engage with over time to help build out and supplement your retirement income. But it's a long-term type of investment, a long-term type of strategy, and we're going to touch on some of those themes today during the course of the next 45 to 50 minutes. Before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. This will be recorded, and the recording and a PDF of this presentation deck will be provided to you by email, I would say by the end of the week. On the toolbar of the webinar, we have posted 5 different PDF documents for you. They touch on housing allowance, EY financial planning, CRSP, those types of things. And then also we have the question box. We have other benefit educators behind the scenes that will answer your questions as you have them, as they come in. We'll try to respond to you in a timely fashion. However, if the webinar is concluded before we get to any of your questions, we will be able to download that and get those answers out to you, again, within a couple of days, certainly by the end of the week. This is the benefit education team here at Wespath. You can see myself and Cheryl there on the right-hand side. Bob Christoffel, the manager of benefits education, and Todd Christoffel also. And again, Todd is helping us behind the scenes as we speak. Just to remind you about Wespath and who we are a very large pension board. We have over $24 billion in assets under management. We service over 100,000 participants, and that includes all of us here joining on this webinar today, clergy, laity, surviving spouses, those types of individuals are all within the context of our participants. Again, large organization, but we are a not-for-profit organization. So although we do a very good job of asset management and money management and those types of things, really the important part here is what is there for us remains in the investment funds for us to use over time. It doesn't get parceled out to any kind of shareholders or any other stakeholders. So everything stays where it belongs within the context of Wespath. And all of us at Wespath, we get up every day because we believe in caring for those who serve by providing investment and benefit services that honor the mission and principles of the Methodist Church. For an agenda, we'll go through what the personal investment plan is. We'll talk about contribution options, go into a little bit of detail around contribution options, the types of money you can contribute into the plan. Cheryl will then talk about our investment options and investing with Wespath, as well as being able to access your account. We know in retirement, that's when we're really targeting when we want to access the account, but we also know that life happens, and there may be times in the course of your ministry or career where you may need to access that. We will touch on that as well. And then, as always, we'll talk about the participant resources that we make available to you at Wespath. And there is, as we will hear say a couple of times, a plethora of resources that are available to you. So the United Methodist Personal Investment Plan, what is this plan? It is a defined contribution retirement savings plan, technically a 403B retirement plan. This plan will accept contributions from any employer contributions that they may make available to you. But primarily for today's purposes, we'll talk about the personal investment plan in the context of your personal contributions coming into the plan through your payroll deduction. Again, you're saving for your future self. So you decide how much you want to contribute, and we will always encourage you to contribute as much as you can. How to contribute, again, we'll talk about a couple of different money types available to you, and then also how your money is invested in the Wespath family of funds. Self-manage your account or use what you'll hear in life stage investment management. There are many advantages of participation in UMPIP. These are just some of them, not necessarily all of them. But saving on taxes, you'll hear about different ways in which how you contribute and how you eventually take distributions from your account, how that may affect your taxes. Do you defer taxes and pay taxes on that later, or do you pay taxes on the front end, like in a Roth account, but if it's qualified and you're in retirement, distributions come out to you tax-free? Through our Life Stage Solutions programs, we provide autopilot solutions for you. Today we'll talk about in a little bit of detail this life stage investment management of your accounts, where you're asking us to tailor an investment allocation for you. But also in retirement, we have life stage retirement income, and these are for those individuals who also are requesting Wespath calculate and provide the amount of monthly installment payments that can be provided to you through your retirement. We have sustainable investments. Your money is invested in a diversified, long-term sustainable investment funds. And sustainability, we've been doing this for a long time. We're doing this now, and we want to be able to provide, and we will provide these benefits over the long haul for you. But sustainability also gets to how we approach investing, applying certain sustainability issues like ESG, environmental, social, and governance principles. So sustainability kind of hits on both of those. And then we also call out our great partnership with EY Financial Planning Services. They provide comprehensive, holistic household financial planning services for us employees or us participants at Wespath that can really help us and guide us through the long-term thinking, planning, and eventual solutions for how we'll receive our income in retirement. So the contribution types that you can contribute into the plan, there are several, but we're going to talk about the two most common types of contributions that you can contribute up front. We'll talk about the before tax contribution and the Roth, and then we'll hit on a few others after that. So the before tax contribution, here the words are kind of telling us what is happening. You get your gross pay for the month, and then you have the amount that you want to contribute into the UMPIP that will go into the UMPIP, and then thereafter, taxes will come out of the account, and the net amount is what you will receive as your pay for that month. The contribution itself is tax deferred. It goes into the plan, it gets invested in our funds, those funds grow over time. That is also tax deferred. But now they're going into retirement, and you're taking distributions, all of that will be subject to ordinary income tax. For those who are clergy on this webinar, even with that being exposed to ordinary income tax, the housing allowance tax exclusion will apply to you in retirement. Just to point out for those who are in laity like Cheryl and I who are on the webinar, just to let you know that our FICA taxes will come out before that before tax contribution is calculated and put in the plan, and then the rest of the taxes get taken out. So just a little nuance to share with you. But before tax, it's not taxed now, it's tax deferred, earnings tax deferred in your distributions in retirement. And then we have the Roth contribution account. This is an after-tax contribution account, but it's got some interesting features attached to it. Same thing, you have your monthly gross pay. Then we determine how much, or you've told us how much you want to contribute into the Roth account, and we'll put that in this off to the side to put into the Roth account. But all the taxes will get applied to that gross amount. So you're paying the taxes now, and then the calculated dollar amount will go into your Roth account. Now that contribution can never be taxed again because the taxes have already gone through. But because the taxes in general have been taken now, and you qualify this account, then distributions in retirement later on will come out tax-free. So the earnings on those contributions will come out tax-free. Now there's two ways in which you qualify the account for that kind of tax treatment. The first is you have to be over age 59 and a half. It's a magic number in the retirement world. But it is a retirement account, so it is positioned to take distributions later on. But also the contribution, the very first contribution that you make into the Roth account has to age up 5 years. So that first contribution has to age up 5 years. Thereafter, and you're over age 59 and a half, then it comes out tax-free. And it's just that first contribution. It's not every contribution. It's not every year's contribution. It's just that very first contribution. Also, the account becomes available to you if there's a permanent disability or if the participant is deceased. Then that tax treatment will apply as well. So 2 different ways to think about contributing and the tax consequences now and the tax consequences later. We also have the rollover account in the plan. Our plan will take rollovers from other qualified or IRS qualified retirement plans like 403B like we have here at Wespath, a 401k, a governmental 457 plan, or any traditional IRAs. There's 2 ways in which you can roll money over from a prior employer into the Wespath UMPIP plan. The first is the direct rollover, and the second, the indirect rollover. We recommend that you take advantage of the direct rollover because we will coordinate with your prior employer and custodian of that retirement fund. We'll coordinate with them to have that money roll over behind the scenes into the UMPIP plan. You don't touch it, it doesn't come to you, it's completely tax-free. If you take that choice, so we recommend you take that choice, we'll send you an incoming rollover form that you will complete. Actually, we'll come back to Cheryl, who's sitting with me today, who coordinates and processes the rollovers that come into Wespath. But you're also allowed to do an indirect rollover where you want that money to come to you directly, but when it comes to you directly, the employer has to withhold 20% in taxes. You can then forward that on to the UMPIP plan, and then you can true up that 20% out of your own account, out of your own assets, if you want to true that up to the amount of the original rollover. But now you're dealing with some tax consequences and some administrative logistics that you may not want to bother with. So we have the direct rollover process in place. We really think people should consider consolidating their rollover assets and have them all under the one plan because you're paying more attention to the plan that you're in now. Money that gets left behind in prior employers, they're not necessarily looking at it, and inertia sets in. You may not be looking at it as intensely as you might want to be. So we think it's a good idea for the rollover and the consolidation of all retirement accounts. Saying that this is a defined contribution plan, the IRS kind of defines for us through law and regulation how much you can contribute in a given year. For calendar year 2024, the contribution limit is $23,000. That can be either a before tax, a Roth, or the combined before tax or Roth. So you could do both, and some people do. It's still $23,000. For those who are age 50 and older, there is the catch-up contribution of $7,500 that you can see there for a total of $30,500. But also within these contribution limits, what the employer is contributing also gets included in an overall total for a calendar year, and for this year, that's $69,000. So you have that number in mind, and for those of you who have an opportunity as a household to contribute that amount, and we were the first ones to say it's a robust amount, but if you have that ability to do so, and you can get there before the end of the calendar year, then you can switch over your contributions for the remainder of the year into the after-tax contribution account. Just remembering to switch it back over on January 1st of the next year, but you can still take advantage of contributing out of your payroll into the UMPIP to continue to lift up the amount of assets that are available to you in retirement. This is a pure after-tax contribution. The contribution never gets taxed again, but in this instance, the earnings will get taxed as ordinary income as you start taking distributions from the after-tax account in retirement. Something to think about, certainly something to work through with your own personal financial advisor or EY Financial Planning Services. So we have these contribution accounts. This doesn't really apply to the rollover, but you have that before tax. You have that Roth, and for those who do after tax, you can do after tax. Now I'm just going to hit on a couple of concepts around long-term retirement savings. The first one being dollar cost averaging. Remember that your contributions are coming into the plan and then getting vested in the funds on a per payroll period basis, so on a regular basis. If you contrast that to someone who takes just a bucket of money, a whole bunch of $100,000, say for example, and put it into a fund, that will go into the fund. It'll buy the underlying shares in that fund, but those shares stay static over time. They'll grow with the markets over time, but there isn't any activity happening underneath. With dollar cost averaging, each payroll period that you're coming in, you're buying shares in that fund, irregardless of what the market is doing at that particular point in time. And the idea here is that you get to take advantage of the market swings up and down over time. If the funds are up, you're buying less shares, but the funds are moving in the right direction. But we know funds will go down. And as funds go down, you're kind of buying the funds for sale because you're able to buy more of the shares of that fund when the funds are down. And then when the funds start to go back up again, and history tells us they will, you're getting more market value out of that over time than if you had just put in that original $100,000 into the fund. So through dollar cost averaging, you're really able to take advantage of that market up and down, that market volatility, while you're seeing the long-term trend of an increase in your account balances. When we think about the long term, we're also thinking about the time value of money, if you will. We know accounts will grow over time. This slide here is just illustrative. The dollar amounts on the left-hand side and the ages on the bottom are here just for illustrative purposes. We have a couple of individuals. We have some assumptions around the individual. The 25-year-old that you can see there is starting to contribute at $35,000. This person gets a 3% annual pay increase and 7% investment gains in their investment funds. The second individual we'll talk about last is age 45, starting at $65,000 with the same comp increase and account growth. So at 25 years old, this individual comes in, he contributes 1% of his pay. And you can see that over time, by the time he gets to around 65, around retirement age, that 1% of pay has garnered $102,000 of account value that can be used as income in retirement. But if that individual actually was contributing 4%, you can see that that goes up quite a bit. I mean, it looks like it's 4 times the amount. I wouldn't do a direct correlation of that, to be honest. But the point here is the more that you contribute and the more that you invest, the more you're going to make available to you in retirement from your accounts. This is an individual who started at 25, 1%, maybe switched over to 4%, that kind of thing. But there are many people who are unable to get started saving in retirement until a later time, let's say age 45. They buy a house, they have kids, they get their kids through school, and now they're able to pay more attention to saving for their retirement. So this individual starts at 45, comes in at 6% because trying to play a little bit of a catch-up because of all the prior expenses and trying to get that account to grow. And you can see that over the course of this time period, that account still grows to an amount that can be used in retirement of $201,000. Again, in our example, in our model right here. When you look at this slide, the story is that it is always a good idea to get started, to save for retirement, irregardless of what your age is. This is not a slide that's to say, oh, maybe I've aged up too much and I can't contribute, the boat has sailed. Quite the contrary. This is about getting into the plan when you can, at a percentage that you can, because you will be able to see that you will garner an amount available to you as income in retirement. And then this busy slide I'll just touch on. Go back to the PDF, go back to the recording and start taking a look at this again. But what we're illustrating here is that tax strategy that is available to you. You have before tax for the lay individual, Roth tax for the Roth savings for the lay individual, and then before tax or Roth for the clergy person. You can see how the taxes are treated when the taxes come out. You can see what the amount of contribution dollars is going to be, and you can see what the net paycheck is going to be. And for those who contribute before tax, because the taxes get paid after the contribution, you have more take-home pay. And that's a benefit. You have more take-home pay. But for those who can do the Roth savings, you can see you may have less take-home pay, right? But you're now contributing that into the account that when you take it out later on in retirement, that will come out tax-free. So we agree it's a bit of a busy slide, but it's about the tax efficiency strategies that can tie into the conversation we had about the different contribution types, the before tax and the Roth contribution. For those of you who have yet to enroll in the personal investment plan, please do so. You should have access to a form through your employer or through your annual conference or whomever that you can enroll in. You can make the determination as to what type of contribution that you want to contribute to, before tax or Roth, and how much. Some people will articulate that in a dollar amount. Other people will articulate that in a percentage. We in the retirement world prefer people do it on a percentage basis, because individuals aren't always able to increase the amount they're putting in the retirement plan, but if they get a raise, they get a wage increase, well, that's going to automatically go up at whatever percentage that you're trying to maintain at that point in time. If you do a dollar amount, you have to remember to adjust the dollar amount as well. So just a little point of reference there, like how we think about it in the retirement world, but most important thing is, irregardless of dollar or percentage, you contribute into the plan. And for those who are contributing, or after you've been contributing for a while, we also have the contribution election form, where you can make a change to the dollar amount, the type of money that the type of contribution you're using in the plan, the before tax or the Roth. And again, just follow the administrative procedures that are available to you to continue to maintain, increase over time, we hope, the amount that you're contributing into the UMPIP to truly look after your future self. And with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Cheryl, who's going to walk us through investing your account and getting account access, and we'll swing back around to participant resources thereafter.
All right. Thank you very much, Frank.
My pleasure.
All right. A lot of great information. We're going to go ahead and give you some more here. So let's talk about investing your account. So again, there's several benefits to investing with Wespath. Again, we do practice the sustainable investing, and that it actually includes, takes into account two different factors. So when it comes to sustainability, again, we're thinking about the long term. We want to think about these investments for the long term, not just for the short term. And then we also are looking at the socially responsible principles of the church, and we invest in companies that in countries that are environmentally and socially responsible. Again, so the investments not only hold up over time, but uphold the values of the church. Again, we do have low expense ratios and no commissions. And again, we do look at our competitors and look at the returns that are relative to the benchmark, and we actually do pretty good. We do pride ourselves on that. I will also be discussing life stage investment management in a little bit, but I wanted to make sure that you're aware of that's another benefit that we have here at Wespath. Let's go through some of the investment categories and the funds that we have. I'm going to be talking about the blue box, which are the categories, and then the fund will be hopefully self-explanatory underneath that. The Capital Preservation Fund is our first one. That is actually the most conservative fund that we have, and we want to think of that as like a money market account. It does provide stability. But it does provide a little bit of growth. So hence the name of the Stable Value Fund underneath that category. Next, we have the income funds or bonds. So bonds are actually debt securities that that these companies actually pay participants this money, and there's three different types of funds that are underneath the income funds. This is actually what we're calling a little bit more of our growth funds, and that's what the bonds actually do. The funds in this category increase in risk value, so the Inflation Protection Fund is actually the more conservative of the three. The fixed income fund is the more moderate, and then extended term is more aggressive. Okay. Another category for our funds, I'm going to go to the bottom here, are the equity funds, which are also our stock funds. These are also known as our growth and income funds. We have two types of funds under this, the U.S. equity and international equity. We actually have billions of dollars in these funds, so I just want to make sure you're aware that these are very large funds. What we have in those funds are a mixture of different vocations, such as manufacturing, finance, technology. So a lot of different categories are in this particular fund. On top, we have the balance funds, which is known as their stocks and bonds. And this is what we also call our growth and income funds. This is actually a mix of all of the funds that we have. So it's a fund of our funds, and it's a good mixture of the safety and security, as well as the aggressive for the growth to help your funds build. Another option that is available are the Social Values Choice suite of funds. This is actually for participants with a heightened focus on companies' environmental and social performance. These three different types of bonds and stocks are actually available if you wind up self-managing your account. Now, this is actually a wonderful slide that I like to show. It is the risk versus potential return scale. So all of our funds that we have are listed here on this scale. We have the stable value fund, which is actually the one at the lower, toward the bottom. And that is your stable value fund, and that has the least risk and also with the least potential for return. But as you continue to go up that chart, you have the International Equity Fund, which is actually the highest risk, but also has the highest potential for return. I really like this slide because it does show how they are generally correlated, and you can actually see how those all fit into this risk versus potential return. Next up, we have our investing with Wespath. So you have choices to actually choose your own mix of investment funds, and this is actually where you would actually decide which funds you wish to choose, which is the self-managed portion. You could actually then go through EY Financial Planning Services, and Frank had alluded to them earlier. They're a wonderful partner that we've been utilizing for over 16 years. You can actually get investment support through them. Or you can actually go through Life Stage Investment Management, and I will talk a little bit more about them right now and how it can be a great fit for you. Life Stage Investment Management, it's actually a personalized investment management tool for your defined contribution accounts. All right, so you can actually, it's a voluntary plan called Life Stage Investment Management to help participants manage the investment of their accounts. LifeStage can actually automate the investment of your account by developing a customized target investment mix for you based on your personal profile. So LifeStage will adjust your investment mix over time as necessary to keep you on target to reach your goals. So think of it like putting the investment account on autopilot. When you actually sign up for Life Stage Investment Management, you are given a profile. Your profile, you can actually test, or you can actually select which risk tolerance that you have. That can be the conservative, moderate, or aggressive. It will also ask you what kind of benefit commencement date you will have, as well as if you're eligible for Social Security. If you do not sign up with this personal investment profile, you will be defaulted into the moderate risk tolerance with a commencement age of 65 and that you're eligible for Social Security. Now again, if that is not a fit for you, you can always change that, and you can model it that can actually target your allocation based on your personal profile. Life Stage Investment Management. So this actually creates a diversified investment portfolio that's actually set to each participant. Your retirement is going to be different from mine. It's going to be different from Frank's. So this is a tool that's going to be great just for you. It actually sets an asset allocation and is reviewed quarterly. Now, quarterly is going to be determining based on your birth date. So if your birth date is in March, it will go quarterly, so March, June, September, so on. But if your birth date is actually in February, then it's going to be February, May, and so on. It's actually going to rebalance your accounts as it's needed. And it will actually manage these investments while you're an active employee as well as in retirement. So it's a wonderful program, and and you can actually change your investment allocations at any time as well. You can change your risk tolerance And you can do that, and actually I just changed mine from moderate to aggressive. This is an example of the life stage investment management where it's rebalancing. So what we're going to be doing is it's actually we actually have 5 funds that are being picked for you. And those funds, we actually have a balance, a percentage that is going to be best for you and your management profile. Before the rebalancing, your percentages may be a little bit different than where we want them to be. It can actually drift while you're actually in life stage, and what that does, it is actually going to automatically rebalance that for you. This comes into play here to keep your balance percentages consistent. This option allows you to have other professionals monitor your accounts and takes the thought out of it. So it helps me as I'm in this plan, and it's one less thing that I have to think about or even worry about. So it's a wonderful advantage that I like to take advantage of. Now let's talk about the investment information at Wespath. As Frank had alluded to earlier, there is a plethora of information that's out there. You can learn about all of the different funds that I just talked about. You can see all of the descriptions out there. You can see the comparative results, the benchmarks, the fees, all of that information. You can go out to wespath.org to find all of that information and more. Lots of information out there. Now I want to talk about accessing your account. So as Frank had alluded to earlier, we do know that there may be times when you need to access your UMPIP or your PIP account. The money is yours, so you can take it out. We do want to make sure that you're aware of what the consequences may be if you were to take money out prior to retirement. This money is for your retirement, set up for that, but again, life happens, we know that, so there are options for you. Of course, we do recommend that you seek counsel with your tax advisor, legal advice if you need it. And again, this is also something else that you can contact EY Financial Planning Services about as well. But our customer service team can actually walk you through the different options that you have available. Some of those options can be discussed for you, but these are some of them that are available. So prior to retirement, you have something called hardship loans, you have withdrawals. Again, if you take an in-service withdrawal, there might be a 10% penalty if you're taking it out prior to 59 and a half. Again, if you're disabled, you can take money out. If you wind up separating from service, Frank had mentioned about rollovers. So if you had a rollover, you want to bring that money over to Wespath, you're welcome to do that, more than welcome to do that. I help you with that process. But if you separate from your job, you can actually roll that money out into another qualified financial plan. One of the things I do want to just kind of touch a little bit more on are the hardship loans. Loans are something that you can receive actually in active service as well as in retirement. This is actually where you take the money out yourself, out of your plan, but you're paying yourself back that interest. So it's something to think about. Again, talk to your different advisors to see what can be a good fit for you. Once you reach that retired state, then you have many different options for distributions as well. The most common way for distributions to happen are on a monthly basis. So that can be either self-managed, where you tell us how much to take out, or you can do that through life stage retirement income. Again, what that means is you are receiving a monthly benefit that is calculated out to approximately last for your lifetime. We want to try to have these accounts or this amount be available for you so that you're not taking out too fast and you're not taking out too slow. We want you right in the middle, all right? So we want you to be able to enjoy your retirement and have the money available to do that. Other options that you can have are on a full lump sum or a partial lump sum basis. Again, you're welcome to do that. Again, Frank had mentioned about the housing allowance exclusion. We want to make sure that you're understanding of what that benefit truly a wonderful tax advantage savings and benefit can be. So we want to make sure that you're aware of that and caution you if you were to take that full or partial lump sum, that exclusion may not be available to you. You are always welcome to leave the money on account until you reach that required minimum distribution age, or we call the RMD. Depending on your birth date, that might be between the ages of 73 to 75. And again, with all of the account balance plans that we have, and United Methodist Personal Investment Plan is one, any money remaining in that account would be applicable and be able to be given to your beneficiaries. So another thing that for you to look at is to make sure your beneficiaries are up to date in our system, because we want to make sure that your funds go to the people that you wish them to go to. Now, we're going to come back to Frank and talk about some more participant resources.
Thank you, Cheryl.
You're welcome.
So with participant resources, again, there's plenty of them for you, but we really like to direct you first and foremost to take advantage of Benefit Access, our web platform that is available to you through benefitaccess.org or through wespath.org. You can find out information about your account balances to make sure that your account is set up in terms of your information is set up correctly, that your spouse's information is set up correctly, and that your accounts are invested and working as you anticipate them to be. The contribution dollar amounts, and how you're either self-managing or taking advantage of life stage investment management. Now, to access your quarterly statements, you go through Benefit Access. In there's a Documents tab. You find the Documents tab, and you can see your quarterly statements, and you can see the activity that has occurred on your account quarter over quarter. We have tools to help you determine how you're doing relative to getting yourself ready for retirement. We have a retirement benefit projection tool, which will take your account and make some assumptions to what you may look like at your benefit commencement date and what the income can be derived. But we also have a readiness tool, and in the readiness tool, we're going to do all of that. We're going to assume Social Security income. You can tell us Social Security income. If not, we'll assume it. And then you can also tell us what you think some of your debt obligations might be in terms of healthcare expenses and other expenses, as well as providing for us an estimated dollar amount of what you think assets outside of the plan are. And then you can get a different way of looking at the model of how you are preparing for your upcoming retirement or future retirement. Investment information is available to you. Beneficiary designations, something happens to you, you and your spouse, who is going to get that money? We're going to talk about that again momentarily. And then again, educational resources. Every page on the website, you'll get the information that you're looking for that is relevant or pertinent to you, but on the right-hand side, there's also going to be educational resources that you can click on to get more information depending upon what research you're doing at that time. If you have not registered for Benefit Access, please do. It's simple, it's straightforward. Just have your cell phone nearby, because we do authenticate to make sure that you are who you say you are. Once when you register, but certainly every time that we go into our account, we do that authentication process. So they have the security protocols in place and wrapped around our accounts as well. With the beneficiary designation, you want to ensure that these are in good working order. You want to designate who or whom you would like your accounts to go to if something tragic happens to you and your spouse. You're able to see and edit your beneficiaries on Benefit Access. So we recommend taking some time just to ensure that they are set up correctly. Right? An example of a beneficiary designation is the spouse is the primary beneficiary. The kids or children are secondary. It could be an estate or a charity or a church, but kids might primarily being the secondary beneficiaries. We have some plan defaults in place. So if your beneficiary designations are not in good working order and something, again, tragic happens to you and your spouse, and they're not in good working order, they will go to your estate. Your account will go to your estate. And then it's in probate court in the state that you live, and it takes years and costs money for that account to be distributed. And no offense to the judge, but it may not be distributed exactly how you want that to be. So good part of overall planning and financial planning is to periodically ensure that your beneficiaries are in good order, Numbers get switched around, people change addresses, those types of things. And then you have access to the quarterly statements. You go through benefit access and you can find your quarterly statements. Just click on through, you'll find your documentation. Here you can view your account balances. You can see how your contributions and how your earnings and how your interaction with our investment funds are going. If you're in life stage investment management, we're going to show you on, I think, the third page, if we've done anything to reallocate or rebalance your account, you'll see that activity on your quarterly statement. And then again, you can see the overall investment performance as to how that fund is performing or how your account is performing at that particular point in time. And now Cheryl's going to share with us more on EY Financial Planning Services.
All right. EY Financial Planning, we've talked about them already earlier in this presentation, but they are a wonderful partner of ours. They actually provide confidential, professional, one-on-one guidance to help you with any questions that you may have. Wonderful resources out there. Again, we can say plethora of resources available that they have, and their contact information is listed there. But we like to say that no question is too big or too small for them. So here's a list of some potential topics that you can actually talk to them about. Of course, retirement plans, that's what they're there for. Frank had alluded to earlier about the before tax versus Roth contribution elections. You can ask EY if that would be a good fit for you. Electing life stage investment management. You can actually talk to them about that. They actually can access your account if you give them the ability to do so, and they can actually see all of the different funds that you have available. You can talk to them about debt, buying a home, major appliance, lots of different things that you can talk to them about. No question is too big or too small for them. We actually had a couple of our benefit educators actually talk to them about whether or not they should buy or lease a car. And they were able to help them with that decision based on their financial situation at that time. We like to say that these costs or these EY consultations are free. Technically, they are to you. They are not, you don't have to pay anything for them. The costs are actually included in our operating expenses that we have here at Wespath. But this is something that is available to you. If you already have a financial planner, that is fine, that is great. But now we'd like to say that now you have two. So feel free to utilize them. They're there for you to give you all that guidance that you could be looking for in your situation. We also have our Wespath virtual one-on-one consultations. So this link that is shown on the screen is where you can actually sign up for a 30-minute personal consultation with one of the benefit educators that you saw our pictures in the beginning of the presentation. So meet with one of us. It is private and easy to register. Again, 30 minutes. It doesn't mean that that it's a one and done. We've actually had some people come back and had, I think, between 9 to 12 consultations, all about the same thing, just helping to reiterate and help answer those questions that they have, whether that be their upcoming retirement, or maybe what questions should I be asking of EY Financial Planning Services. So we're here to help you with that, and feel free to speak to any one of us to help with that. Frank is going to come back and talk more about the Live from Wespath.
Yes. This year, Live from Wespath will air on Wednesday, April 10th at 11 a.m. Central Time from our Wesley Town Hall. We had a great response to our first Live from Wespath in May of 2023, and this year's event will not disappoint. Live from Wespath will include an introduction to our next Chief Investment Officer, insights into the long-awaited General Conference, perspectives on clergy well-being, and much, much more. When you register, you can weigh in on the topics you are most interested in and ask any questions. Look for your email invitation or register today using this QR code. Again, we'll send you the deck at the end of the week, and we'll see you April 10th at the next Live from Wespath. Now, before I go into concluding here with our participant resources, we have the Live from Wespath. One of the topics of that is going to be before General Conference, and that's why we are holding it in April as we are, to talk about some of those issues. Our quarterly series, so there will be 4 of them. Right now, for the second quarter, the one that's going to be held, I believe, on June 4th, we're kind of waiting to determine what comes through General Conference so that we can tailor and gear the Q2 UMPIP webinar to information that's relevant and pertinent to the UMPIP plan and other plans by extension, but certainly what came through General Conference and how that will apply to this plan. And then later on in the year, Q3 and Q4, we'll continue to do what we've done over the last few years, which is hit on certain elements of the plans, accessing your account, the investment funds, financial planning, and expand on that over time. But the usual routine is going to have a little bit of a modification because we really want to see what comes through General Conference and how our next webinar can really enhance our collective understanding of what occurred during that time. We have our resources here. We have a customer solutions area, our participant solutions area, 800-851-2201. Benefit access, please get on there. Get on there regularly. You don't have to be obsessed about it. It's a retirement plan, but every so often you want to take a look. And then again, EY Financial Planning Services available to you for the bigger, broader type of conversations or the particular financial question or issue that you may be having or experiencing. So please take advantage of them. As far as action steps are concerned, enroll in UMPIP, look at your contribution strategy, look at your investment strategy, make changes and modifications as you see fit over time. But certainly if you're not in yet, please take advantage of it. This is really a good way for you to help supplement your income in retirement. You have benefit access that you can start to see things. Again, we get redundant. You have EY, you have the one-on-one benefit education consultations. All of these things can collectively come together to really support you as you continue to prepare for, save for, and eventually prepare for your future retirement. And also, I'll talk about beneficiaries again. Take a look at those. So that concludes today's quarterly webinar. It was a pleasure being with you today, Cheryl.
As well with you, Frank. Thank you.
Yep, and we look forward to seeing you again at a future webinar. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Definitely. Goodbye.